They say a picture's worth 1,000 words, and this picture's definitely worth 1,000 words. It tells quite a story. It tells the story that this is electricity, and it's perfect timing. Someone sent me this image as part of a newspaper article, online newspaper article. And you can see that it's electricity. It's working a lot like the video that I put out yesterday, where the train track was working as the conductor of the electricity, like an antenna, like a receiver. And the railroad ties, which are the square block of wood, much like these guardrail posts that sits beneath the railroad track, was on fire. And there was like zero fuel around that railroad tie to catch it on fire, and the fuel that was around it, there was unburned weeds around it. So clearly the electricity is going through the guardrail here and lighting those posts on fire, and you can look down the way and see that it goes on forever. The line of flaming guardrail posts goes on forever and ever. You can see this tree right here, unburned. The point that I'm making here is that these posts didn't light on fire because standard fire that moves across the surface of the ground would need fuel to burn this tree and then something else in between the tree and the guardrail post, and it would need to burn its way from one fuel source to the next in order to reach these guardrail posts. There's no fuel around them. They certainly did not all catch on fire because embers blew in the wind and landed on each and every one of them. This image right here proves there is an electricity component working through that guardrail to catch all of these posts on fire. And on this one you can see the glowing red hot right around the bolt that's sticking out right here. That bolt goes through both of these posts and onto the other side of the guardrail and snugs it all up and keeps it together. This burning red hot area around that bolt is burning red hot because of the electricity component of it. And that's why all of these seem to be burning mostly on the mounting block between the post and the guardrail. This block right here is doing most of the burning on each one of these. The timing was good because I just put out a video a few days back showing this same pattern, highlighting all the straight line burns. Oh, and here we have one of these mounting blocks. Oops, where'd my pencil go? One of these mounting blocks that was right here has fallen down on the ground and is burning on the ground. The other thing you might notice is all the unburned leaves on the ground. I'm not positive that that's what these are, but these appear to me to be unburned leaves all over the ground. %, this is an electricity-based fire. I also want to draw your attention to the fact that a high amount of the burning is happening right here between the mounting block and the vertical post. The same thing happens. Oops. Oh, come on, work with me. The same thing happens further down on all of these. On this one, right between the vertical post and the mounting block. On this one, you can see it's super bright right there between the vertical post and the mounting block. The same thing happens right here. The same super intense bright light is happening right there and on the post further down. The greatest intensity of burning is going on right there at that seam between the vertical post and the mounting block. You're about to see that same burn pattern from the video that I put up a few days ago, where it's charcoaled right there between those at that seam and unburned on either side. You'll be able to see where that's a repeating pattern on these posts that aren't currently burning. And that guardrail is acting as a conductor of that electricity lighting each and every one of these guardrail posts for as far as the eye can see. Here's the caption: rail posts burn along Highway 36 as the park fire spreads near Paynes Creek in Tehama County, California on Friday, July 26, 2024. So this is a little over 1 year old. I put out a video a few days ago showing this same burn pattern from a fire that I had taken, video I'd taken about 5 years ago, titled "Over 80 Straight Line Burns Equals Electric Fire." And on this is the thumbnail photo that I chose. You can see two straight line burns, one going vertical right here, one going horizontal right here, and most of the burning on all of these posts occurs just on this backside, like the electricity goes from the guardrail through that bolt, and for some reason focuses the burning on the back side of each one of these posts.
This is on 19 in Arizona. I'm going to show you a bunch of these posts, guardrail posts, that look a lot like what we saw in Paradise, California, where all of them had flames shooting right up at the top of them and were unburnt on the side. And that was one of the biggest giveaways that something besides fire happened there. See this perfectly straight burn line? My neighbor's house caught on fire and I pulled a post. Look how straight that line is. I pulled a post.
Okay, so I'll just leave the link in the description so you can watch the rest of that video. The other thing I noticed in this video is it burns every other post. That was the phenomenon here. It's actually two separate guardrail that I feature in this video. This one's during the daylight, where you can see the tops of each one of these posts are squared off. On the other guardrail post example that I give, every other post has the top of it cut at a 45-degree angle. And the ones with the cut of the 45-degree angle on the top are the ones that burn. So let me fast forward it here. Notice everyone has a square top. There are none on this particular guardrail post that have the cut of 45-degree angle on them. They all have a square top. And then later on in the video, I give you another example. I think this is still the daylight video, and then we hit the night burn. There it's got the 45-degree cut on the top. The next one is unburned, flat square top. The one after that is burned. Let me try and fast forward it. I must be saying something. But you can see it has the angled cut on the top. That's probably what I'm pointing out here. Come on. Give us another example. And then we'll also show an example where it actually burned out that mounting block that goes between the post and the guardrail, just like we saw. So this one's got the square top, unburned. Angled cut top, burned post. The next one, flat top, squared off, unburned. The next one, angled cut top, burned. So there's something different about every other post. And it may be that it has some sort of reinforcement metal going down into the ground, and that's how they identify every other one, is with that slant cut on the top. And they put it with every other one for the purpose of adding some resistance, but giving it enough slack, giving every other one the ability to break off more easily to absorb the impact of the car or the semi that hits it.
You can see it charcoaled out in between these two pieces.
Right here it's showing an example that I was pointing out where it burns between the post and the mounting block.
Got another, oh no, that one burned both sides. It's kind of a rarity. Here's a piece that fell off. Had the bolt going through there. So in Paradise, California, it definitely, absolutely, positively.
So that piece that I showed you that fell off is the same as this piece that's fallen to the ground, and it's probably split right where the bolt goes through it, just like that other one was. And I was about to say that Paradise, California was absolutely, positively, without a doubt, directed energy weapons. That was 5 years ago. I've learned. There's way too many examples where it's 0% chance it's directed, weaponized, or intentional. Thus, every one of these electricity-based fires should be considered as such until we have as much evidence on the other side of the scale as we do on the side where there's 50 examples, provably not directed, not weaponized, and not intentional. And I'll give you an example of that in this video that hasn't been seen. But first, let's show you a couple more straight line burns that I found in my old archives. This is a video that I took in Oregon, and I'm about to walk over here and show you this fence line that's got a few of these fence posts with the straight line burns on them, just like there are on about 80 straight line burns was the title of that video. And that's not an exaggeration, because many of those square guardrail posts have 3 straight line burns on them, 2 vertical straight line burns and 1 horizontally across the top, like we started out in that video showing you. Let's fast forward a bit here, and we're coming up on some square posts, fence posts, where you'll see nearly identical. There you go. Straight line burn on that fence post. And the very bottom of the fence post is completely burned off, but you can see the straight line burn there. Here on the back side, not so much. Fast forward a little bit, there's that straight line burn on the front side, and then I believe there's a couple more. Here's another straight line burn on this fence post. It's a nice close-up of it. Regular fire doesn't burn this way. That straight line burn is evidence of electricity-based fire, not directed energy weapons. There's like a flat earth community in this area of research regarding these fires that have latched onto this idea of directed energy weapons, just like flat tards, and it's become a religion for them. And people that are part of a religion are not looking for the truth. You're never going to get them to reconsider their preconceived ideas based on evidence you present them. They have a religious conviction about it. They get to play the hero and the victim if it's directed energy weapons. So no matter how many examples you show them where it's the same exact electricity-based fire burn patterns, but 0 chance it's directed energy, that doesn't matter to them. That's not going to change their beliefs any more than you're going to change a Christian or a Muslim from their beliefs based on evidence that you're showing them. They're not searching for the truth. They've joined a religion. They want to build a church around themselves and develop converts who are part of their church of the directed energy weapons. And here's an example of an isolated burn that has 0% chance of being weaponized, directed, or intentional from about 5 years ago. And I know how to spot them. I was just driving by and went and backed up, so we're gonna go check that out. I don't know how well the lighting's gonna do, but there's a concave burnt out spot in each one of these posts. So we'll check out the end one first, because it looks like the light might be doing a little better right here. A little tough, hold on. Give me some light in there. There we go, you can see, highly burned. Up to about here. This is unburned wood here. That's unburned here. And it burnt out this concave spot. Like there was a post that ran from here over to here. See, it's highly burnt on the right, unburnt on the left. A little tough with the lighting here to get this. But you can see this metal post sticking out right here. Right here. So what happened here? Not exactly sure. I'll hold. I'm going to point out that it's also burnt around that nail right here. You can see burning around that nail where it attaches. It appears that a post ran between these three larger posts. Another smaller post burned out about a 3-inch circular diameter burn out of each one of these larger square posts. And the attachment points of the nails is where the electricity focused. That square rod sticking out right there. And there's another nail that we just passed up. See if we can maybe pause it right there. Right. I think it's going to show us the nail that I just passed up. There. This nail sticking out right here is another point of attachment where there was another post on this fence. And it was that singular individual post that burned right at the points of the metal attachments, be they nails or whatever else there was. And so this is one of the great examples where there's 0% chance that it was directed energy weapons. It's not weaponized, intentional, or directed. Yet it doesn't matter how many of these examples you provide people who want to keep insisting that we're under attack! It's the great they, the Illuminati, with their directed energy weapons, and they're doing smart city land grabs and smart meters, and underground water aquifers, and lithium mines, and uranium mines, and housing developments, and data centers they want to build. They're so highly invested in that idea that it doesn't matter how much evidence you show them of the exact same types of burn patterns, where there's 0 chance that there is a motive here and that someone did this. You're not going to talk them out of their religious conviction. No matter what you show them, they will never reconsider. They're not interested in the truth. They're interested in perpetuating the tenets of their religion that they have subscribed to. The religion of directed energy weapons is no different than the religion of the flat earthers. They're not interested in the truth. They've got the truth. They're interested in preaching the gospel of the truth they think they're in possession of. They stopped looking for the truth. And no matter how much evidence you provide them, it will never be enough to get them to go, oh, well, maybe I should reconsider. Maybe I was wrong, because the truth is, if you even acknowledge that one of these fires that is electricity-based fire is not directed, intentional, or weaponized, then you have to go back and reconsider all of the others that you've declared are part of some grand conspiracy for a smart city, or a uranium mine, or a lithium mine. And someone who is already invested in something will continue to invest in that thing. Even when it's a lost cause, they will not cut their losses. I make this analogy of an old beat-up car in the garage. 1 week you're fixing the transmission. A month later it's the starter. A month after that it's the alternator. And on and on and on it goes. And eventually you're so invested in it, you don't want to cut your losses and quit investing the next time something breaks and just buy a new car. Because then you'd lose all your seed money that you spent on the transmission repair, and the starter, and the alternator, and all of that investment you've already poured into that car in the garage would be lost if you stopped investing now. So now you're going to spend just a little bit more to fix whatever part broke this week. And someone who has already invested in something is more likely to continue to invest in that thing in order to not lose their seed money, and they are unwilling to cut their losses and say it's a lost cause. That piece of junk ain't never going to run. Let's just get a new car. Likewise with this idea of directed energy weapons. Someone who said it once or twice might be able to reconsider, oh, okay, maybe I was misled, misguided, and in light of new evidence that's been brought to my attention, maybe it's not directed energy weapons. Someone who said it 50 times or 500 times, they're so invested in that idea, it doesn't matter what you show them. They're not going to throw away that investment, cut their losses. They're just going to double down. And it's just like people in mainstream academia, they call it OOPS, out of place, OOP, pluralize it with an S, OOPS, out of place artifacts that do not fit the paradigm of the books that they've written of archaeology or geology or history. They do everything they can to try and explain that piece of evidence away within the paradigm they've presented in their books that they've written. And then when they can't, they just dismiss that evidence. Because they're not going to go back to the drawing board. They're the authority on the subject matter. They've written a book on directed energy weapons. And if I'm to acknowledge, oh, this is the same electricity-based fire, and it's clearly not weaponized or directed or intentional, then I'd have to go write a revised version of my book. Their ego, their vanity, their pride prevents them from being willing to do that. Notice how the backside of these are not burned. Yet it's isolated to these 3 fence posts. The directed energy weapons person will go, there it is, that's the proof. You can see the shape of the laser beam. It's a 4 or 5 inch diameter laser beam that shot straight through all 3 of these fence posts. Bam! Magbit of truth, look at them dumb done shit for the masses. These sodomites think they slick. Bam! Oh, don't let me rant anymore about these doutards. It's like a flat earth society within the area of research regarding these fires. And they just have a religious conviction. You're never gonna get, they're not interested in the truth anymore. They're interested in converting people to their belief system. Put in fast forward here. These 3 fence posts are isolated. You don't see anything else burnt around here. That's the clue. The smaller the plasma fire, the bigger the piece of evidence is that proves it's not directed or intentional. When it's just these 3 posts, what are you telling me? There's a gold mine underneath these 3 posts? And some diabolical scheme to get at that gold under those fence posts? That's why they're directing their lasers at these fence posts. They just didn't do a good enough job? Anyway, I'll quit ranting. Here's just a couple minutes of a video that I made titled Proof It's Not Directed Energy Weapons Compilation of Electric Wildfire, where I give probably 15 or 20 examples of these smaller fires which proves it's not directed, weaponized, or intentional. This is a video that's over an hour long, but that is still less than 1/10 of all of the evidence that I have accumulated on this channel. Probably maybe 1/100th of the examples that I could provide that are already documented on this channel showing that it's not directed energy. We'll just watch a couple minutes of this and fast forward, and I'll leave the link in the description for those of you that are interested in actually educating yourself by reviewing the actual evidence that speaks for itself. Because once you do, you no longer run around squawking directed energy weapons. Over here real quick and show you some of these fence posts that are plasma burned for a collage that I'm making. Lots of little spots here and there and everywhere. And as we go on down, there's some more. Charcoal. And as we go on down, there's some more. Looks like here's one. Charcoal. Not directed energy weapons. And the list goes on and on and on down the road. Here's one where you can see the inside is burned out. It looks like there's another one here. Charcoal. And on it goes all the way down. I made a video of these fence posts before, but I was looking through my gallery and I couldn't find it, so I'm just going to grab some more shots of these. See how it's just little spots of charcoal? Little strip on that one. This is a different location than the fence post we just looked at on the previous video. And there's multiple locations like this within 1 mile of where I live. Don't want to shoot the messenger. But all these charcoal spots prove, there's some more right there, that it's a larger system going on. It's not directed energy weapons. And all the little fires, I can show you 10 of this type of example within 1 linear mile of the house I've been living at for the last 2 years, which proves that it's not land grabs for smart cities and that it's a larger geomagnetic induction type of worldwide phenomenon. I'll give a better explanation of that later. A new plasma fire tree that I've never seen before and never taken a video of. And as you can see, it's on the inside wood. Right here you have the outside wood that splits apart right there, revealing the inner core wood. And that's where the burning is happening. Revealing a streak of lightning going on. Finer than the width of my fingernail. That was important. I won't interrupt. Never taken a video of. And as you can see, it's on the inside wood. Right here you have the outside wood that splits apart right there, revealing the inner core wood. And that's where the burning is happening. Fine line between the burn and the unburn. Finer than the width of my fingernail. And so it is all the way up, even if it curves back and forth a little bit. Everywhere you see it, there is no phase transition between the burn and the unburn.
goes from absolute charcoal to absolute unburned within line. Just like on the cars that are missing their hood, and the hood is completely gone, but right next to it, the quarter panel is completely intact and even has its paint still unblemished. Because the fine line between where the electricity burned it on the right and the unburned area on the left is being done through electricity, not flame. Otherwise, flame would not create a fine line between burn and unburn. This one is a mailbox within 1 mile of where I live right now. Over the past couple of years, I just take these nightly walks. And this is one of the 15 places where I can show you mild burn signatures of plasma fire. Not directed energy, not a land grab. Definitely electricity-based fire, though. And I tried to roll in here and grab some footage of this guy's mailbox and be gone in 60 seconds. This is one titled Local Plasma Fire with New Burn Pattern. The links will be in the description to every one of these videos that I'm just going to try and show you a little clip of. Notice just the tips of the grass are burnt. As I've described, electricity. Fire would not leave the bottom portion of the blades of grass unburned and only burn the tops, nor would it skip around and just burn this grass and not that grass, leaving this outer perimeter. And the outer edge of the leaves are what's burned. Fire doesn't do that. Electricity does that. That is not a burn pattern you will see when these things are burned with a flame. This is a burn pattern you will see when that plant is highly charged up with electricity and the outer edge of the leaves burn. Take a nice close gander at that. Links in the description to get the full presentation.
Yes, links in the description to review the full presentation of this video titled Proof It's Not Directed Energy Weapons. And within the description of that video, Proof That It's Not Directed Energy Weapons, is many more links to other videos. In this video, I show you a bunch of different examples, including sunflowers at my neighbor's house that were turned to piles of ash like 6-foot-tall sunflowers. Here's some more fence posts, individual trees. Once you've exposed yourself to the evidence, you no longer think directed energy weapons. It flies in the face of that logic and reason and rationale once you've seen enough of this. Some people, they're not interested in the truth, and they simply dismiss any evidence that runs contrary to their pet theories. Here's what's left of some 6-foot-tall sunflowers at my neighbor's house around the corner. Each one of these piles of ash was a 6-foot-tall sunflower. Not directed energy weapons. There's the base of one of the sunflowers that snapped off and fell over right there that I'm about to pick up. That's what burned down into a pile right there. And it fits perfectly on the remaining stalk that's standing right there. Each one of these ash piles was one of those. In someone's front yard where nothing else burned. Yes, in someone's front yard where nothing else burned. And that one that snapped off is like a fuse. When a fuse has too much electrical current going through it, it snaps in the middle. The greater the diameter of the fuse, the more current that it can allow to flow through it. That's the difference between a 5-amp fuse and a 10-amp fuse. 10-amp fuse has twice the amount of diameter as the 5-amp fuse. And that sunflower stalk was only a 10-amp fuse, and it had a lot more amperage flowing through it, and that's why it snapped the way it did. Here's a little more plasma fire. Fractal burn patterns that show that it's electricity on these trees. Flame would not leave these patterns. We're going to show you a close-up here in just a second. This is clearly evidence of electricity-based fire. And it matches what they call fractal burning or Lichtenberg burning when they apply electricity to a piece of wood and it burns in these weird fractal patterns. You can see something very similar happening on this tree. Fire would not leave behind these patterns. Electricity is the only thing that can be accountable for these types of burn patterns. Here we go. Give you some close-ups of the fractal burns. As soon as the lighting works with us. Electricity leaves those burn patterns, not flame. Huh? Some plasma eye candy, ain't it? Fractal burning. I think it focuses here in a minute. There we go. That's probably the best images we get of it, is this up close. Yeah, flame doesn't burn that way. Electricity burns that way. Now it went out of focus again. But you get the idea. There we go. Some good fractal burning right there. And this is from a video from 5 years ago, almost 6 years now. At the end of this summer, here within a month or two, it'll change to 6. That was in September of 2019. So next month, this video will be 6 years old, and it got 85 views. There's plenty others just like it. Here's 4 of them from, it says 6 years ago, titled Pure Country Brain Gravy, Part 1 through 4, that got 21 views, 22 views, and 33 views. My point here is that I've amassed a lot of ore. You know when you're mining gold, you extract the ore from the mountain, which is like 99% dirt and rock, and it's got a small percentage of the jewels that you're looking for, the actual gold. And then you have to purify and distill and refine all of that ore into the gold. Well, I've got mountains of ore here on this channel waiting for any of you who are up to the challenge to refine it into 10-15 minute videos presenting the patterns of the electricity burns, distilling it down into that ore and presenting it to people. You could be the delivery system by which these jewels of knowledge make their way into the hearts and minds of the public in this economy where all wealth is knowledge and all economic growth is learning. You've heard data is the new oil in the new AI-driven economy, and that AI will displace money as we know it in this new economy. I'll go into a longer description, an explanation of what I mean about this idea that all wealth is knowledge and all economic growth is learning. And you could deposit this wealth of knowledge into other people's accounts. But as it stands, when I go away, so does this knowledge. See, you're supposed to pay it forward, not turn around and tell me and show me every time you see some plasma fire. That's how this works. You're supposed to tell someone else. That's how the game of telephone works. Every one of you who send me a video link and go, look, there's some plasma. Yeah, I know. I'm the one who told you about it. You're supposed to go forward and tell someone else. That's how the pay it forward economy works. Want to see something funny? So you can see it's cored out right here, right up to here is where it ends, but right here, oh, that was a lizard ran out of there when I stuck my hand in. It's that deep. Is where it ends, but right here, oh, that was a lizard ran out of there when I stuck my hand in. It's that deep. That lizard scared the crap out of me. And that would be why this one's leaning at about a 20-30 degree angle. This one smoked all the way up. Sizzle, sizzle. For rizzle ma nizzle. With unburned wood right there, just another plasma-fired burn pattern. Electricity does that. Regular fire does not leave unburned pieces of the tree, while completely turning the other parts to charcoal. Electricity does that. Little help, guys. Little help. Be nice. Sizzle, sizzle. For rizzle my nizzle. But again, this whole thing could have burned just like you see it without a single flame. Massive amounts of electricity did this. And you can see this piece of wood over here ain't even burned. Untouched, unburned, hanging off the top of that right there. Attached right there. Bizarre, huh? Totally bizarre.